What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So the Ring 4 card just went down and we got 4 big fights to talk about. Benavidez winning, Haney winning, Bam Rodriguez winning, and Abdullah Mason. And I kind of want to talk about all 4 of these performances, who each guy will fight next. Kind of my takeaways of the card. But before we get into the video, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We're getting really close to 1,000 subscribers, but aside from that, let's kind of jump into my thoughts. So, first fight, the main event, Benavidez stops Anthony Yarde in round 7 to retain his WBC title, his interim WBA title, and pretty much remain undefeated. Now, I was pretty impressed by Benavidez in this performance. It's kind of what I expected. Round 7 TKO is what I predicted, but, Benavidez's pressure really took over in this fight. Right, Yarde, we know what he is. He's a game veteran. He'd given Kovalev and Benavidez tough fights, but Benavidez kind of systematically broke him down, and I think this was a solid B+ level of performance. In certain moments, Yarde definitely had some success with the jabs, the right hands, but for the most part, it was Benavidez walking forward, ripping combinations and body shots, and Yarde would hold one hand and Benavidez would hammer 15 punches with the left hand. And Yarde, like he always does in the big fights, he kind of gassed the longer the fight goes, and really gassed midway through the fight. And in the 7th round is when Benavidez took over, right? Landed a huge combination with Yarde up on the ropes. Yarde got dropped in the fight. And the ref took 2 points off for a late hit, but didn't really matter. Benavidez hammered him home and got the stoppage. And I think this is a very, very good win for Benavidez, right? He's fighting some elite opposition back to back, right? Yarde, Morrell, Vosdick, Andrade, Plant. He's fighting nothing but championship level guys in every fight. And to me, this win kind of puts Benavidez in that pound for pound list. I had him just outside of the top 10 before this fight. He's my, I think, number 10 right now. And I think it's a good win that could very well set him up to fight for the undisputed title at light heavyweight. Now, that isn't the next fight that he's going to have, right? We found out from Benavidez after the win that his next fight is going to be Zurdo Ramirez. It's going to be for the WBA and WBO cruiserweight titles, so Benavidez is moving up to cruiserweight. And he's going to be headlining Cinco de Mayo weekend in Las Vegas on May 2nd. And I think this is a pretty solid fight as well, right? Zurdo, he's a unified champion at cruiserweight. Unified with Chris Smith. He's a big guy. He's got good left hands, good check hook. And Benavidez, he's more of that pressure and volume guy, right? He'll walk you down, throw these big combinations. I think it's a very intriguing matchup because both these guys were champions at super middleweight a long time ago. And now they're both technically going to be cruiserweights now. Now, how do I see this fight going? I think Benavidez by decision. To me, Benavidez has more volume. He can really put the pressure on Zurdo, dig to the body. And we saw in the Bivol Zurdo fight that, right? Bivol, he's 48-1. Zurdo, he's 48-1. But the one loss is to Bivol, right? Bivol is able to kind of maintain distance, go in and out, land that hook on Zurdo, 3-punch combinations. I don't think Benavidez would be as dominant against Zurdo, but surely I think he'll have a good performance. And I think his volume will really take over. I don't think he'll be that much smaller than Zurdo in this fight. And I favor Benavidez to win by decision. But this is a big moment for Benavidez in the fact that he's the one headlining Cinco de Mayo weekend, right? For the last decade or so, it's been Canelo. And now with Canelo coming off the Crawford loss, getting surgery, waiting for a Crawford rematch, it looks like Benavidez could be that future, or I guess new face of Mexican boxing, headlining Cinco de Mayo card. So this is a big fight for Benavidez. Could really push him up the pound-for-pound rankings, put him in that top 7, top 8 range, become a 3-division champion. And for Zurdo, it's also probably the biggest fight of his career, bar Bivol, right? A big opportunity to defend the belt Cinco de Mayo weekend. Maybe put himself as one of the big faces of Mexican boxing. I think it's a very intriguing matchup, but not my most intriguing matchup, right? I think the best matchup for David Benavidez is, it's only one fight, and it's Dimitri Bivol versus David Benavidez. To me, there's just more on the line in this fight, and I think it's a higher level matchup, right? You've got Benavidez, 2-division champ, 168, 175, now has the WBC title. And you've got Bivol, who's been an undisputed champion, coming off the win over Beterbiev. Had to vacate one belt, but this would be for undisputed. It'd be a champion versus champion, 2 pound-for-pound fighters. This is the fight that I really want to see. And win or lose for Benavidez to Zurdo, I think he's got to come back down to light heavyweight. Now, obviously, the title is Collision Course, and I think they are on the Collision Course. I think Dimitri Bivol will probably have the trilogy with Artur Beterbiev next. Right, Beterbiev was supposed to be on this card today, but he had another opportunity, I guess, coming up or whatever. And Bivol, he had surgery, back surgery, is expected to return early next year. And I would do Bivol Beterbiev 3 in Russia, which is being discussed. Benavidez will fight Zurdo in May in the meantime, and then I want to see Bivol versus Benavidez if Bivol can get past Beterbiev. I think there's not a lot of matchups that are better than this in boxing. Maybe Inoue Nakatani, maybe Crawford Janabek, but this is a top 3, top 4 matchup in boxing, so I definitely think it's got to happen. Would I pick Benavidez to beat Bivol as of right now? No, I would still pick Bivol, but time is on Benavidez' side, right? He's still the younger guy. He's getting better every fight. Bivol's, I want to say, 35, coming off back surgery. While I would pick Bivol at the moment, I think if this fight happened a year from now, Bivol goes through another war with Beterbiev. Maybe a year from now, I might pick Benavidez. But as of right now, I still think Bivol is just slightly better. Anyways, moving on to the next one. Devin Haney beating Brian Norman Jr. This is a cold picture, by the way. But Haney proved me wrong on a couple ends. One, I thought Haney looked gun-shy after Ryan, right, in the Ramirez fight. I thought Norman could walk him down and land these big shots, and Haney would kind of cover up and not be able to move as well. He kind of proved me wrong in that regard. Secondly, I thought if anyone was going to get a knockdown, it was going to be B-Norm, and it was Haney. Haney landed the big right hand that dropped Norman. Now, first round, I liked what Norman did, right? Jab, put the pressure on Haney. But as soon as that knockdown happened, Haney flipped the script completely, right? Norman wasn't as composed. He was kind of telegraphing the left hook, loading up. And Haney was the one who was more confident coming off the knockdown, right? You see the mean mug. Haney was able to maintain the distance with the jab. He was able to clinch whenever he got in trouble. He landed some more right hands after this. And there was no moment where he was in like gigantic trouble in this fight, right? Compared to the Ryan fight where he got hurt so many times. Norman never landed the big shot that we're used to seeing him land. And I think a large part of that will be experience, right? He's fought 2 title fights, Santian and Sasaki, but he hasn't fought the consistent caliber of opposition that Haney's fought, from, the Kambosos undisputed title fight to Hall of Famer Lomachenko to Prograis to, Haney's fought good opposition for a long time. And you could see the longer the fight goes, the longer the fight went, Haney picked up more momentum, more confidence, and he swung the fight well in his favor. So really, props to Devin. I think this was a solid A- level performance. Beautiful jab, good right hand, showed the power could carry, defensively sharp. The only issue, I would say, small issue, is maybe overly clinching. Like, he's hesitant at the power, but you'd rather be safe than sorry, so I think a very, very impressive showing by Haney. Now, what do I think is next for Norman? Probably some sort of top 10 contender fight. You've got Polanco's in the mix. You've got a couple other guys in the mix. Catterall's in the mix, although Catterall will probably compete for a title next. There's some other guys in that top 10. Giasov, although Giasov might fight Rolly. And for Haney, there's kind of some good opportunities now with the title. When you look at the other champions, you got Rolly, doesn't intrigue me as much. Barrios doesn't intrigue me as much, but Barrios is fighting Ryan Garcia. That intrigues me, right? If Ryan is able to beat Barrios, bring on Haney Garcia too, absolutely. With all the controversy, the hype of the first fight, the storyline, I would love to see Haney Garcia. And then you got Crocker. Crocker doesn't excite me, but to me, I think Haney's got two options. If either the Barrios Garcia winner, especially if Ryan beats Barrios, I think is a phenomenal fight. But if Barrios beats Garcia, I would like to see the Conor Ben fight. With Ben coming off the win over Eubank, looking phenomenal in that fight, saying he wants to come back down to 147. Haney Ben could be a really good fight in Saudi, in Wembley, in Vegas. Although I would guess it'd be in UK. Haney Ben is a really intriguing fight as well. But I gotta say, I think Haney's the best welterweight in the world after this. To me, Norman was the best welterweight after Boots moved up. And Haney looked good in this fight. I think he can beat every champion. I think he can beat Garcia in a rematch. I think he can beat Ben. To me, Haney will probably end up going undisputed. Obviously, we'll have to see how the Garcia situation plays out, the rematch, if Garcia wins, but if Garcia beats Barrios. But I like Haney's chances of going undisputed. And to me, he's also back on the pound-for-pound list. I had him just outside the top 10 as well, with Benavidez outside the top 10. But Haney, to me, joins the top 10. Right? 3-division champion, beat the top dog in the division, been undisputed at 35. Haney is my number 8 pound-for-pound right now. But anyways, moving on to the third fight down the card, the most dominant performance on the card. Bam Rodriguez straight dominates Puma Martinez from start to finish. And I didn't give Puma any rounds in this fight. I had it 9-0 for Bam, and then he stopped him in the 10th. Very, very composed performance, right? He was good with the angles, the straight left hands, the uppercuts on the inside, right? He can throw the uppercut out of like both hands, lead uppercut, backhand uppercut. And Puma, you just couldn't match Bam in skills, right? Throwing a lot of big shots right in front of Bam and not able to land. He was grunting from round 2. I remember noticing that. Sounded like a tennis match. Sounded like Nadal. Shout out Nadal. That's my favorite athlete. But he just did not have the skills, the composure that Bam had. And Bam systematically just broke him down round by round. And for a point, I thought it would go to decision just because of Puma's toughness and willingness to stand in there. But beautiful counter left hand in round 10. And Bam, stopped the show. Now, for me, Bam is my number 5 pound for pound. I had him number 5 over Beterbiev before this fight, but especially after this fight, I think he's over Beterbiev, and you could even argue over Bivol. I wouldn't go that far, but you can definitely argue it, right? Because Bivol hasn't fought in about 10 months. Bam now is unified another title in a second division. You're either the number 4 or number 5 pound for pound. Now, what would I say is next for Bam? I think it's got to be undisputed at 15, right? There'll always be the talks of, Nakatani, Naoya Inoue, but Bam's priority, I think, is on undisputed, right? You've got, Bam now has the WBC, WBA, WBO, and lineal, and you've got the IBF between Willy Baldo Garcia and Kenshiro Taraji on the Japan card, on the Saudi Japan card coming up, right? December. I would do Bam versus the Taraji Willy Baldo winner, right? I think it's a very easy fight for Bam, honestly, because Taraji lost his belts at 112. Willy Baldo's a very unproven champion. To me, Bam's going to beat that winner and become undisputed. And then from there, we can talk about 118, right? Tenshin Inoue winner would be a phenomenal fight for Bam. I think Estrada's moved up to 118. Chocolatito might have moved up to 118. There's some fun fights for Bam at 118 if he moves up. But very, very good performance, and I definitely expect the kid to go undisputed in his next fight. But anyways, moving on to the last fight on the card. Abdullah Mason, at 21 years old, becomes the youngest champion in boxing. Now, this was a dogfight, a real dogfight for Abdullah. Not the type of fight I fully expected. I thought he would, move his feet, look for the counters a lot more, but he kind of stood in the pocket and traded with a powerful, big lightweight in Sam Noakes. Now, this is a 7 out of 10 performance for me for Mason. I expected him to win, and I'll give him a lot of props, right? 21 years old, world champion, incredibly athletic, right? You don't see 21-year-olds look this good in sports, right? Very rarely, right? You'll have your Travis Hunters, your Lamine Yamals, your Wembys, but it's very rare to see someone this good in sports at such a young age. So from that standpoint, I was very impressed by Mason. I thought he had some really good inside shots, uppercuts, body shots, left hands. I didn't like his defense, though, on the inside. I think he let up a lot of right hands, though, from Noakes. Right, Noakes was able to land several big shots, dig to the body on the inside, kind of bully him a little bit here and there. And I thought Mason made some good adjustments with his footwork in the second half of the fight, his counters in the second half of the fight. But I had Noakes up 4-2 through 6, and then I gave Mason 5 of the last 6 rounds. So I had it 7-5 Mason, which is I think what the judges had it as well. I do think his defense needs a little bit of work, right? We've seen him get dropped twice by Vasquez I think 2 years ago or a year ago. The inside defense needs a little bit of work. He does get hit with right hands, does get hit with body shots and left hooks. He just need to tighten up a little bit. I want to say move his feet a little bit more, and rather than stand and trade, because he's more skilled than a lot of these guys, right? There's no point standing and trading when you're this skilled. But for a 21-year-old, I think he's well ahead of the game. And has so much potential, right? We talk about Bam being a future pound-for-pound 1. Benavidez could be a future pound-for-pound number 1. Abdullah could very well be a future pound-for-pound number 1. So I give Abdullah a lot of props to really dig deep and have a war at this age and come on top. But in terms of what's next for Abdullah Mason, you've got a very stacked lightweight division, right? You look at the 135 champs. WBC, Shakur. WBA, Tank Davis. I'll talk about Tank in a little bit. IBF, Raymond Murataya, who's fighting Andy Cruz soon. And then now WBO, Abdullah Mason. Now, should Mason go for a unification yet? No. He's too young. Shakur is just another level, right? Tank, I don't know if he'll keep the belt, but it's not a type of fight you should take at 21 years old. Murataya Cruz winner also, I think, a little bit of a too hard of a fight. Now, if we're looking at Tank after the whole DV stuff, I don't know if he'll stay in boxing. Let's say Tank leaves boxing, right? Schofield would probably fight for a vacant belt or whatever. You could maybe do Mason Schofield. But if we're looking at it right now on the surface, I would send Mason into a contender fight, right? I think he's still signed to Top Rank. I would do some sort of top 15 guy in the WBO who's with Top Rank, right? Like Dennis Baranchik, Edwin De Los Santos. Although Edwin is a harder fight, right? Edwin's got power. If you want to give Mason a solid title defense of a guy who's been champion, I'd give him Baranchik. If you want to really test him out the gates, I'd give him Edwin. I think it's a great fight. You can put it somewhere in the U.S., whether it be in the East Coast or Vegas, but I think that's a really logical next fight for Abdullah Mason. It's a fight I'd probably slightly favor him to win, even though Edwin's more powerful. I think Mason's a little bit more crafty, willing to dig deep. He has got to be tighter on the defense against a guy like Edwin, but I think a very logical fight for Abdullah. And he can get a couple title defenses, build that experience, and then we can look at the unifications for Abdullah, right? The Shakurs, the Murataya, Cruz winners, or Tanks, or whatever. But for right now, there's no point pushing him into the deep waters yet. But overall, I was really impressed with this card. I really loved the card, right? Mason and Noakes was a war. Bam, sensational performance. Haney proved a lot of naysayers wrong, and even I doubted Haney, right? He proved me wrong. And Benavidez, classic fashion, very exciting to watch and gets a stoppage. I think it's to me a top 3 card of the year. I think a great night for boxing, and I think this is what the sport needs. More cards like this, more big events with more title fights and high legacy fights. This is a great night for boxing, but you guys let me know your thoughts on the card, who you'd like to see next for these 4 champions, and make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, road to 1,000. We're super close, so make sure to subscribe, but thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.